In this video, I'm going to show you how to start editing some of the code to start manipulating your website. So at the moment, when we open up this website, so remembering that we can do that by right-clicking on index.html over here, reveal in File Explorer, and then double-clicking the index file, and that opens up there. Now, at the moment, sorry, I just need to adjust something super quick. When we initially open this, you will see, if I just bring this out to its own window, that in the tab, the description of the document is untitled document. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is how to change that. So we're going to go back into our Visual Studio Code, making sure you're looking at the index page. So that one should be highlighted. And we're looking up here in the head area of our data. So you can see that on line 7, we have this line called title. So we're going to change this from untitled document to the name for your website. So you can name your website what the project is called, or you can name it your own name. Just name it something appropriate to show me that you know how to change the title there. So I'm going to change this to Miss B's website. Now, if I go back into my web page, which is open over here, you'll notice it hasn't changed yet. What we need to do is actually save that change before we can visualize it, before we can preview it on the website. So we can save by hitting Control S on our keyboard or File Save. We don't want to save as, we just want to save. Once it's saved, go back into your website and refresh the page, and you can see now that mine has updated to say Miss B's website. So anytime you make a change to your code, you must save it in Visual Studio Code before refreshing your page to reveal the changes. So the next thing we're going to do, so that's the only change we need to make inside the head data. So the head data has to do with the metadata of the website. We don't need to worry about that. What we are going to be editing is inside the body data. So you can see that I've got a couple of different sections. I've got one called header. So at the moment, if I look at the website, my header says header 1. So anything that is written in white is text that will appear on your page. So inside header 1, I can give my web page a name. So I can call this Design Culture, because remembering that is the company we're designing our website for. So I haven't saved that change. I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh my page, and you can see now my heading has changed. Don't worry about the font style just yet. We're just going to put in some of the wording and change a little bit of the layout. Okay, the next thing you can see is that our web page has both a nav bar along the top and a menu along the side. Now, generally speaking, you do not have both of these types of menus. You either have one or the other. We're going to get rid of the menu on the side. We're all going to keep this nav bar. So anywhere that you can see menu, everything living inside that little section, so from line 27 down to line 35, we're just going to delete. And I'm going to save that. And if we refresh our page, you'll see that that section of the page has disappeared. The next thing we need to do is make our this scroll bar, we're going to make that disappear. And we're also going to make the body of our page go all the way to the edge. So taking up the space that the menu used to take up. So for this, that is more visual changes that we're going to make. So HTML has to do with the content that appears on the web page. And CSS has to do with the look of everything. So this is where we can set colors, we can set fonts, and we can play around with a few different things to do with appearance. So at this point, make sure that you've highlighted the css.css page. Okay, your code looks quite different now. Scroll down until you see everything to do with the menu. So I can see a little hash menu li. I'm going to get rid of all of those things. So that is lines 48 down to 58, and I'm just deleting them. So let's save that and go into our web page and refresh it. And that hasn't made any changes because I already deleted the data that was there. The CSS was just kind of relating to nothing, so it didn't really make any visual changes. But what it has done is just reduce some of the clutter in my CSS file. The other thing I'm going to get rid of is my scroll bar, and I can see that in the content area here. So mine is now on line 49. I can see the overflow scroll. I'm going to get rid of the overflow scroll. So for me, it's just on lines 58 and 59. So anything that you can see in green text is just information for you, telling you what the code does. Anything that you can see in blue or red has to do with the actual appearance on your website. So I'm going to get rid of the overflow scroll and the information below it and get rid of those two lines. And I am going to Control S and then update. And you should see my scroll bar has now disappeared. The last thing I'm going to show you here is how to make the main body text take up more space on the side. So I'm going to go back into Visual Studio Code. Now, my content is currently set, so the content is the body of the page, is currently set to 780 pixels. We want to change that to 1000. Now, let's save that and let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, you can see it's now taking up more of the screen, but it's just got a little bit of an overhang here. We're going to get rid of that overhang now by going back into our code, and we're going to get rid of the padding on that. So I'm getting rid of the two lines that have to do with padding. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to refresh. And you can see now that my heading, my navbar, and my body are all in line with each other. So padding has to do with that little bit of overflow, which we don't want on ours. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to play around with color, because this is something you can just have some fun with now. So staying in the CSS area, you can see that for my body, I have a background color. For my header, I have a black background color. For my navbar, there's a color. For my content, there's a color. So anywhere you see the words background color, you'll see a little color box next to it. Now, you can either sort of click on the color box and change it to whatever you want, sort of by sliding and sort of seeing what looks good. Or what you could do is actually copy colors from the Adobe Color Wheel or the Canva Color Wheel. So what you're going to do is hop onto Google and Google Canva Color Wheel. Oops, if I could spell, here we go. And you're going to choose some colors that you like the look of. So let's say that you really love this blue. You can see that there is a code there. We can actually copy that code, so Control C, and then we can paste it here. Okay, so I've just highlighted what was there and just Control V, and that's put in the new color code, and it automatically detects what that color is and puts in that little color box. You can then save it, go into your website and refresh, and you can see now that my footer is this blue color. So what I want you to do now is go through and sort of choose a color scheme for your website and have a go at changing the background colors and just getting those to look a little more like how you would like them to appear. And just for a bit of inspiration, I'll show you what I have played around with in the past. You can get your website looking more like this, where eventually we can put in images, and you can see that I've changed my background colors mainly to white, and just my nav bar has a color on it, and we can put a logo in for your heading as well. So that's where we're heading, but just have a little play around.